In this video, I will show you my way of picking out a main champion that I'm gonna be playing for a long period of time, and what I do to get to that champion and decide on, okay, I want to play this champion and I'm gonna invest a lot of time into this and become good at it. And more often than not, I just ask myself, what do I want to do in the game? Do I want to be a frontline? Do I want to play top? Do I want to play jungle? Mid, maybe? What exactly is the thing that I enjoy in the game at the current moment? I can give you an example now for season 12. I'm usually a top lane main, but for this year they have changed teleport, so I don't have much to do before 14 minutes. I've changed my champion pool to something that scales a bit harder in the early game, that doesn't have to win the lane and later just wins the game. You've probably seen it on my shorts already, like it's Yasuo. I play Ryze, I play champions that if you leave them alone, they will win the game through scaling. And I came to that conclusion based on a couple of things, like, do I have a mental block with some champions, like something that I cannot play no matter how many times I try? I do have those, like, I don't care how much time I put into Kalista, I cannot play that champion. I can get better at it, but at the end of the day, the champion and I, we are not clicking. So no matter how much time I invest into that champion, it's just time to move on and say, you know what, something else is bound to be better for me. I can also ask myself the question, and this is a very important one, especially for solo lanes and jungle, in what is my preferred playstyle? Am I a macro player, where I like to play the map and outsmart my opponents? Or am I a micro player, and that means I like to mechanically outplay my opponents and get my leads through just beating you 1v1 because my champion or I'm better than you. And for me, I'm a mix of both. I like to play mechanically simple champions that have hidden mechanics in the early game, so that you can exploit one or two parts of your opponent. That means I can play things like Tryndamere, who is very mechanically simple, but do really advanced stuff with him. And if I want to play macro, and I want to play the team game, then it's easier for me to do that on someone like Pantheon top lane than it is for me to do that on someone like Riven in the top lane. You gotta think of it like a balance. Riven is gonna take a lot of energy for me to perform good on. That energy I then cannot use on macro. I cannot think 5 steps ahead and play Riven at the same time. I have to be honest with myself. So maybe in that case I pick something like Pantheon instead, where he's a bit simpler to play and he gives me the room to think ahead and see what I want to do. So if you just decide on what you want to do in the game, it becomes easier to niche down and find a champion that suits that playstyle. I also like to think of in terms of the current patch or the current meta. What is the best thing to do this year in order to win? Is it to play AP champions? Is it to play AD champions? For instance, right now, Zhonya's is really powerful, and in my opinion it's one of the most broken items in the game. Maybe I should play a champion that can have Zhonya's as a core item, and that way I can abuse that and I can get all the benefits of that while still having a champion that I enjoy and I can get good at. If that's the case, say I want to dominate the early game and I want to become a mid-game monster and use my micro to to win the game, and I want to have Zhonya's as a safety net for me, then maybe Fizz is a good option for me. Maybe Twisted Fate is a good option for me. Both are mechanically like medium, like they're not too advanced, but they're not brain dead simple, and that could be champions that I can try out. If I'm playing AD carry and I have the same question of who do I want to main, I can maybe ask myself the question, am I calm in stressful situations? Picture this, imagine you have a Malphite on the enemy team, and he's gonna ult you, and his entire team is gonna follow up on him. Would you rather play Sivir, where you have a safety net and a way to protect yourself, or do you want to play Kalista and be on the front line and basically be ready to outplay your opponents at every time without that big of a safety net? Do I prefer to be aggressive and have a dash on my AD carry, or am I comfortable with playing someone who cannot dash but maybe has a bit more damage output? Maybe I'm a bit over aggressive sometimes, and I like to push too deep into team fights. Then maybe Xayah is a good AD carry for me, because when I get too deep and they try to kill me, I have a safety net in my ult where I can ult and try to live. Maybe I'm mechanically more gifted than the people around me. Maybe the Vayne is a good idea for me. Or maybe I want something more all around that fits in every role but is not the best at that role. Like Tristana. Tristana is not the best in anything that an AD carry can do, but he's pretty good at all of them, and that's why she's a really good character. Maybe I like the caster playstyle of an AD carry, then perhaps now Lucian becomes a great choice for me. I like Kai'Sa a lot. She is one of my favorite champion, and she's a mix of everything. She has good dive potential. She has good safety. She has both the caster and the AD carry part all mixed into the same champion. So when choosing a main, you really just need to ask yourself, what do I want to do in the game, and what champion is best suited for me to do that task? If I'm playing jungle, this is gonna be my last example. Do I like to have a ganking jungler, or do I like to have a counter gank jungler? That means if I want to play a ganking jungler, then maybe someone like Lee Sin is a good option for me. Maybe someone like Nocturne is a good option for me. People who need to gank to get ahead. And if I want to play a counter ganking jungler, then maybe someone like Sejuani is good for me. And maybe someone like Olaf is good for me, where they are strong early, and they can turn early fights around and win the early game based on a more macro approach to the game, where you think ahead of what you want to do and then you execute on it. There's probably a million things to say on what champion you like the most. Something that I also do is, if I want to play, say I want to play some Corki, I would search up a Corki streamer, someone who plays Corki a lot, maybe on YouTube, maybe on Twitch, maybe on Facebook, who cares? And I would just watch them play the champion. If I find the champion interesting and fun to watch, then maybe I want to try that myself. And maybe if I try it myself, I can see the same windows of opportunity that the streamer or the YouTuber sees. And if I do that, then maybe this champion is for me, and I can start investing more time in them. But that's gonna be it for this video. It's supposed to be very short. If you have questions on how to have multiple mains or a main in each role, then feel free to ask them in the comments below. I will answer every question. And thank you all so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Peace out.